If I told you, if I told you just half of everything I've always wanted to.
Welcome back, Camily. It's been a while since I've just done a simple Q&A video, so I figured catch you guys up on anything you've been wanting to know about. Y'all got the questions, I got the answers. Let's do this. First question is, what lessons have you learned in 2021? I have learned a lot of lessons. I feel like a completely different person as the years go by, but especially at the beginning of last year versus the beginning of this year. I'd say one of the most important lessons I learned is that life is hard and it's never going to not be, and to expect that or anticipate that or strive for that just isn't realistic. There's always going to be something. I would get so frustrated because I'm like, seems like there's always something wrong, there's always a problem, there's always an obstacle. But to just like accept it and anticipate that and just know that like that's life, instead of like being so upset about it, because it seemed like I was the only one who dealt with that. It felt like everyone around me like didn't have some big problem they were always trying to figure out. But that's just not true. Everyone has their problems, but it's much better to just face it instead of denying it. The next question is, where do you see yourself living forever? Is it where I am now, or do I want to go somewhere else? It's definitely not here. And I've always known that this is not my forever home. And over the past few days, I've been thinking a lot about moving, actually. I've just been having the hardest time finding my people. And friendship and community is so important. And I've really tried here. Like, I've put myself out there and tried to meet people. As you might know, I live in a very touristy area. A lot of people are coming in and out. And the people that have chosen to live here, I feel like just have a very different mindset than me, and that might be part of the reason why I felt like no one else has problems, because it's like a little beach town and everyone's like, oh, I live by the beach, I'm so happy, how could you be sad when the beach is right here? Feels like everyone that lives here is like escapists. It's just a place where people come to like run away from whatever they're dealing with from wherever they came from. And there's just this sense of like artificial happiness, and it just feels like nothing is real. I am being a little bit dramatic for sure, and I'm sure there is people around here that aren't like that, but I can't find them anywhere. Can't find them for the life of me. When I was in rehab, I had a very strong community of people who are all dealing with the same exact things that I was dealing with, and we helped each other through it and we talked about it, and everyone was just so real. So to come back here and just have, first of all, not a lot of resources. There's like no meetings around here. The therapists are like, I haven't found a therapist that I've really stuck with. There's just not a lot of community resources, because once again, this is a place where people come to vacation. So yeah, I've really been struggling with that, and I just know it would be a lot easier to find that community that I'm looking for, like practically anywhere else. So I've been thinking about Austin. As you know, I've lived in Austin before. For a long time, I thought I would never move back there, being that I lived there with Landon and Colette, and we have a lot of memories there. I haven't been back since, but memories with Landon are starting to be less of an uncomfortable thing that I don't want to look back on, and more just kind of, you know, bittersweet, but I could still like enjoy the memories for what they are. But I definitely want to visit again soon and just see how I feel about it. My sister is moving there in the spring, and that's the thing. I wouldn't just like move somewhere alone where I know nobody. I have a few people in Austin to kind of lean on, and hopefully I'll meet many more people. But my lease here is not up until December, so that's not going to be happening anytime soon. And even then, I might even re-sign my lease for another year, so we're talking like years down the line. But the other thing that I have been considering is Hawaii. I grew up in Hawaii. I lived there for 10 years, from when I was 2 years old to when I was 12 years old. And obviously, like, it feels like my home. But I know I want to live there again at some point in my life. The reason my family moved away from Hawaii is because my sister got to high school age, and the school system there, at least the public school system, just isn't the best, especially compared to Texas where we moved. And obviously education is very important. So I've thought about just kind of doing the same thing that my parents did during my childhood, and basically living there from like when they're little kids like they are now until they get to like middle school, high school age, and then moving out of school that we know is really good. And of course I would try to stay in that same area until they both graduated. The other option would be to move to Hawaii after they move out, after I become an empty nester in my 30s, to just, you know, head back over. The next question is, do you ever plan to go back to school? I've thought about it on and off for basically until I left school. I know that I'm most likely not gonna be doing YouTube forever, but YouTube has opened up a lot of doors for me to get certain experiences that I think will allow me to try a few different things, and there's a few different paths I can go down through YouTube. But right now, the only two things that I'm really considering is potentially getting some kind of film education. I don't know that I would go to college just to major in film and videography, but to just go through some kind of program and get a further education on it, because as of right now I'm just kind of self-taught and I film my videos. But I am very interested in cinematography, and growing up I was a little bit of a child actor. I was in a few commercials and had like one speaking role on a TV show once. But I really loved the experience of just being on set, all the behind the scenes and stuff. So to have some kind of job where I was working on a project like that, that would be awesome. And then of course the other thing is that I'm writing a book right now, and I made a whole video about that, but that's what I'm primarily focused on other than YouTube. Someone asked, why do you not want any more kids? I get asked a lot when or if I'm gonna be having more kids. I guess that's just because of the side of YouTube that I'm on. A lot of other like mom influencers are just popping them out, one kid after another. And I used to think that I wanted like a lot of kids. I don't know, 2 kids just feels like the right number for me. I have my 2 little girls, I have Ozzy. It just feels so whole and complete. I like actually can't fathom having another one or experiencing another pregnancy. It's hard to explain the feeling, but I just feel done. Also, there's the fact that I know over the next few years, I'm not gonna be ready to have another kid, just emotionally ready. And even if I did wait until I was emotionally ready years and years and years down the line, then there would be a huge gap between Delilah and her younger sibling. And there's a reason I had Kala and Delilah so close in age. I did not want to have a big age gap between my kids. You know, having kids young, like I said, I'm gonna be an empty nester pretty young. So if in like 7 years I decide to have another kid when a lot of, you know, my peers are starting to have kids, it's almost like I went through all the struggles of being a young mom to not experience one of the very few plus sides to that. As much as I love the girls and my life and everything that comes with parenthood, I'm missing out on some vital years of just self-exploration and independence and freedom and traveling and just so many things that I'm not gonna have until my 30s. And then people always come in with, well, what if your future partner wants to have kids of their own? They can have a surrogate, I guess, as long as I'm upfront about the fact that I'm done having kids from the very start. I don't see it being an issue, you know? Someone asked, what is your current obsession and what are the girls' current obsessions? Coco's current obsession is this little cat toy. It's like a mouse made out of feathers and it like jingles. She calls it her kitty pitter. I imagine it's like caterpillar and kitty pitter. She brings it everywhere. She brought it in the bath the other day and I'm like, girl, it cannot just get wet like that. Delilah's current obsession is untying my shoes. If I'm around Delilah and I have shoes on and they're tied, I am not safe. No one's safe. She will come for you. She will grab your little lace and pull it and then laugh in your face. She's turning into such a little prankster. She just loves messing with people. It's really funny. My current obsession is Mitski. I'm going to a Mitski concert on my birthday trip. I'm going to Colorado for my birthday to visit my sister and go to the concert. I'm turning 21. I think it's gonna be really fun. Do you have any advice on how to get motivated to do things? What I always tell myself is that No one is coming to my rescue. No one's gonna swoop in and do it for me. The only way that this thing is going to get done is if I do it. I'm really grateful for all the help I've gotten just over the course of becoming an adult and taking on more responsibility. Of course, I always had Landon to lean on, and then my family, and it always felt like there was someone to like pick up any slack. But it got to a point where I realized that they were only hurting me, because as long as someone was doing it for me, I was never going to learn how to do it myself. So over the last like 9 months, I've grown to be a lot more independent, which was hard at first to kind of resist the help, but doing it for myself, knowing that I'm capable of doing it and knowing that I'm the only one who's going to do it motivated me a lot. And I still struggle. I mean, there's times where I like procrastinate stuff, but again, I just remind myself that I need to do it for myself. Someone asked, how do you make friends as a young mom? I don't know. Please help. If anyone has an answer to that question, let me know. I've been trying to figure that one out too. Someone said, Coco's almost 4, Dee Dee's almost 2. How do you feel? I feel like I'm gonna cry. No, it's really insane. I remember when Coco was like a little tiny baby, just thinking one day she's gonna be like 4. She's gonna be a 4-year-old and she's gonna like be able to have conversations with me. And like that's almost happening so soon. I mean, she is having conversations with me, but she's gonna officially be 4 next month. What's even more shocking though is that Delilah's gonna be 2. Like, is it just me, or does it feel like she just was born? I feel like because I was kind of dissociated for a lot of her early infanthood, that time just really flew by and is such a blur to me now. And it honestly makes me really sad to think about. I was literally in survival mode. So that especially makes me so sad that she's gonna be 2. And that time has just flown by. But I do feel like from ages 1 to 2, when I was doing a lot better, I have really cherished that age. And it's such a fun age. Her personality is just blossoming. If you could give January 2020 Cameron some advice, what would it be? I would just say, don't run away from change. It's really scary to make a change in your life, because you never know what's on the other side or what's waiting for you. And it could be worse than how things are now, but it also could be way better. I feel like at the time I was very resistant of the changes going on, and I was just fighting so hard to keep everything together and to keep it the same as what I was comfortable with, because I was used to it. But I would just tell her to accept it and face it and let it happen. Is Coco potty trained? Yes. It took her a very long time to potty train, and I feel like I got so much mom shaming for it. Comments about like, oh, is she still in a diaper? Or just people giving me like a ton of advice on potty training. But looking back on her potty training journey, which I started like very early, I think Colette was Delilah's age or even younger when I first like bought her a potty. Looking back, she just was not ready. Like there's nothing I could have done to potty train her. And I tried a lot of things. They're gonna do it when they're ready. It's not like they're gonna stay in diapers forever. There will come a time where they make that decision for themselves, and sometimes it's better to just wait for that than to fight them about it. Because it's a very vulnerable thing. If you only have ever gone potty in your diaper and then your parents are like putting a ton of pressure on you to like sit down on this big scary potty, I get it. It's like a vulnerable situation. Looking back, I wish I approached it more gently and patiently. But yes, she is fully potty trained now after years. I will say that Delilah has shown some interest in going on the potty. Of course, anything she sees her big sister do, she wants to do too. So I might just try and, you know, ease her into it, see how she feels about it, because maybe that's a decision that she's just gonna make earlier than Colette did. So we'll see how that goes. Someone asked if I had the girls now and not when I was 16, what do I think their names would be? And that's interesting because when I tell people what my kids' names are, I feel like sometimes people are kind of surprised, because sometimes when someone's 16 and has the responsibility of naming a child. 16-year-olds can sometimes name their kids more like trendy things or just names that they might regret later down the line. So I've been told a few times that my name choices for them were very mature. But I don't really know that I would name them the exact same things now as a almost 21-year-old than when I was naming Colette when I was 16 and when I was naming Delilah when I was 18. Even though it might not have been the same exact names, I think I would have stuck with a similar concept of just a name that is gonna stick with them and suit them throughout their whole life. A name that they won't just age out of one day. Looking back on some of the names that I almost named Colette when I was 16, I'm very glad I chose Colette and not some of the other ones, because I would have regretted some of the other names for sure. Yeah, I really don't know. Like, if I was pregnant for the first time right now and I had to name a baby, I really don't know what I would pick. Well, that is the last question for today. I forgot how much I love filming these videos. I love just chatting with you guys. Q&As are so fun. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cam&Fam.